funny now. But when it happened, it wasn't funny. So you decide if you want to listen to it. Might not be that relaxing, but it'll definitely be a fun story time. So, I mentioned it in my video yesterday or the day prior if anybody wanted to hear about my hip debacle, fiasco, and I can't believe I've never talked about it. Anyways, this may be a better camera angle for me. I can use the wall as like a, I guess you call it like a lean-to. And I can lean up against it so my knee won't feel the pressure as much. But anyways, there I was, minding my own business back in 2004, 5, 6, 7, only to end up with hip replacement surgery December 2008. And as if that wasn't bad enough, that was 2008. Then it broke. It was a faulty hip implant piece. It broke. So I had to have it redone in May of 2015. So if you can connect the dots, I started this YouTube channel in July of that year, maybe a couple months after. And that had nothing to do with arthritis. When I actually saw the x-ray of the problem in my hip, I couldn't believe it for the life of me. It was a deformed bone, hip bone. I couldn't believe it. Like, how can you go through a whole life? I was almost 50 years old. Like, how do you go through your whole life perfectly fine, and then it just breaks down and you need a hip replacement? So the doctor said, really? You had no indication? The only indication I had of something odd was one moment when I was doing my Nautilus workout in 1979 or 1980 at the Santa Barbara YMCA. I remember the exact machine I was on. I remember the whole 9 yards. And I always had a little bit of a feeling in my hip when I would go down. You know, like if you crack your knuckles or you tilt your head or your body part, and you know, if you just go a little further, that body part is going to crack or pop, and you're going to feel so much better. So you either know that feeling or you don't. Anyways, I had that feeling in my neck. I had it in my hands, my knuckles, and my waist. So I was familiar with knowing how to move, so my body would pop, so I'd feel better. No big deal. Got to the point at this one machine I would squat down, and I kept squatting more and more on my right hip. I said, there's something in there. I know if I just squat a little bit more, something good is going to pop either in my waist or in my knee. Bigger than beans, it popped. I will never forget. I heard the pop. It was a huge clunk, like a deep clunk. And I'm, bouncing down on my knees, like on my tippy toes, bouncing on my knees, down close to the ground. It popped and I heard it. I could feel it and hear it. It was a clunk. Then, when I got up, I was like weak on that side. I wasn't injured, wasn't suffering, wasn't crippled. I could just tell, like, wow, that was really something. Okay. So that was the end of that. Again, that was like in 79 or 1980. So when the doctor asked me about any indication, that was the only thing I could recall. I suspect something happened then that started the whole ball of wax. So anyways, in 2004, girls graduated from high school, and I've always been a workout junkie, like a real workout addict. I didn't believe in the 3 days on, 3 days off thing. I was 8 days a week. I enjoyed the gym more so than outside, and until I started jogging. And then obviously I was spending more time outside, still doing my gym routine, but adding an outside jogging routine. So, those were good years. The girls were off at college, and it was my husband and I, and so we were really indulging in what we liked to do with life, and mine was workout, and his was real estate. He was loving real estate. He was able to work a ton of hours, and we'd meet up during the day. We'd have lunch, and it just was fun. And then vacations were fun because I belonged to 24-hour fitness, and you could have a world membership that you could go to any 24-hour fitness. And that's what I had. So when we would travel and go on vacation, I was still going to the gym in Cincinnati area, Indianapolis, Indiana area. And in fact, my husband and I were like complete opposites. He was the outside exercise guru. He liked biking, hiking, walking, jogging, canoeing, kayaking, everything outside. He was excellent. I loved it. And so he understood my love of the gym, indoor gym with the weights. He bought me the best membership for my birthday. I think it was around 2006. For $600. You paid $600, which was 2-year membership. And not everybody could get it. They had to see that you were a diehard and that you'd really use it. You'd really be there. And my husband knew this was the membership for me. For some reason, it was $600. I want to say you pay for 2 years, and you're a life member forever at any 24-hour fitness, anywhere you go, for $10 a month. So my husband jumped on that. He knew. He's like calculating, like, how long am I going to live? $10. He just knew. So that was like the sweetest birthday gift ever. And I've still got that membership card somewhere. At the membership card. And the plastic card holder they gave you special for your card. It's somewhere. So sentimental. Okay, so life's going on, and around 2006, I started doing my jogging at home, but I wasn't jogging. I would I would do it here in our home. My husband got me the best treadmill. I would raise it, the incline to the max. I think the max was 15%. And I would walk. I would take giant steps, and I would walk that incline for miles. And you could see how many calories you burned. Obviously, it was way different than jogging. But I could really feel my muscles building up, and I got some kind of thrill to do that more so than just jogging every day. And somewhere in the process of my whole life, I ended up low in iron. I have a history of my life of being low in iron. And I'd start walking on the treadmill, and then my right side, like deep inside my hip, or I guess you'd call it like a groin area, would hurt. I said, what is going on? And I could see a steady decline. I was low in iron, didn't know it, but somehow I believe that was what started everything going downhill. And the reason I say that now is here I'm looking at a knee replacement, and I'm also low in iron. And so here I have an iron deficiency, and then the end result is some kind of metal implant or replacement. Somehow I'm just connecting low iron with my beginning of my troubles. So I guess by 2007 was when I had to address it, because we'd go on walks, we'd try to do this stuff, we'd try to go out, walk on the beach, go to lunch. That was our thing. We'd meet up for lunch, we'd go walk. And I couldn't walk. I would walk, and then it would just be painful. So it really did begin to interfere with my life. Go to a doctor, he takes an x-ray, and he says I need a hip replacement. And I'm like, what? And he shows it to me, and I still can't believe it. So I remember we were on vacation at the time. We were in Indiana, Ohio area. Couldn't believe it, because we were doing tons of stuff on the river, and I couldn't do it every year. We'd go out that area because my husband that's where his family's from. I'm thinking, this is terrible. I can't do our activities anymore. So I had seen a doctor there. I couldn't believe it. I wait till we get home. I find out through my daughter's school, she refers me to the best of the best surgery people for implants and all that. Bigger than beans. I need a hip replacement. I was so sick. I'm kind of like a wheezy person anyways, with like spooky stories. I can do a little spooky, a little horror. I can't do the real spooky and the real horror. It really scares me. So with blood and guts and gore, Halloween, it has to be mild. So when you get ready to do the hip implant, they have to show you the implant. They tell you what they do. I was so sick, physically sick, and crying like a baby. My husband was so sad that I had to have a hip replacement. But then he would hear me sobbing in the bedroom during the day when I wasn't feeling well. And I wasn't going out. I wasn't in my routine in my gym. It was just terrible. And I was spending my time, researching and trying to educate myself of my new hip, my new implant. And I couldn't stomach it. It was the thought of this metal thing. And they drill into your bone, the whole everything made me so physically sick. and I'd start bawling and crying, like holding my head in my hands, and couldn't believe it. It took a long while till I finally got over that, so that by December of the following year, I had the hip replacement, and okay, so that was behind me. It, I was soon to be 50, and I was so down and discouraged. Like, never in my life had I been forced to stop the gym. I pretty much became a gym addict in high school, and my whole life since high school, that was my life. So there was a year of no gym. I was just mentally down, physically down. My body wasn't my fit body. I'd gained weight, but I was depressed about it, where normally I would gain weight. It was, if we'd go, during the summer vacation, you gain weight, no big deal, because you're active. And you're going to get home and you lose the weight. But this was different. It was gaining weight in a sedentary lifestyle. It was terrible. But I do remember me at Christmas just feeling like a fatty. And my husband was just so nice. And so that was December of 2008. So then 2009 comes along. And so then it did seem I had to slowly get back into my my realm, my world, which I had to take slow. And it just seemed like I couldn't, not that I couldn't bounce back, but this had been such a long interval, a long break. I was almost like flustered and dumbfounded at the same time. Like, where do I start? Where is the, like, baby steps for all this? I've been doing the gym and doing all this for forever. 35 years, so how do I start over soft and slow? And so then I would do it, and I didn't even feel like I got a workout, but I knew I had to go easy. So it was a lot of months of just not feeling good mentally and physically. And, like I said, the kids were gone, and now I'm feeling like really lost. And I just remember, like, in my quiet meditation time, like, searching for an answer, like, what's the plan for the next 50 years of my life? Like, how did I live all my 50 years of life and so happy and joyful, for my life to come to this at this age, and me feeling mentally down and physically down. Though my husband, bless his heart, he could look at me and say, 20, 25 pounds, you're going to be the same old you. But to me, that was just terrible, because, like I said, 20, 25 pounds of sedentary fat is way more awful than 20, 25 pounds of weight gain when you're active. It's just different. So 2009, like, it's going and going, and I'm still not getting my groove back. And then we had some other health issues come up in our family. So I needed to take a break and kind of regroup and refocus again for these other health issues. And that's been 2009. So where are we today? 10 years would be 19. So here we are 12 years out. And these whole 12 years never got back to my workout ritual. As if you remember, my hip replacement broke. 2015, I had to go through it again. The surgeon was wonderful though. And I do remember 2 times after my hip implant, they want you to go back like every 6 or 8 months. And I remember telling him, I said, I just want to mention this. I don't know what's wrong, but every once in a great while when I'm walking and I go to take a step, I feel like from my hip down, like that part of my leg jolts out a little further and faster than my timing of the whole rest of my body. And he's saying, what? And I said, I am so sorry. I know to hear myself say it, it sounds like mush, but all I can say is once in a great while I'll be walking, and I'll just be walking, whether it's in a store or in the house, and I'll go to put out my right foot, and I'll feel it jet out a little bit more than I think it's going to jet out. He couldn't understand it, neither could I. Comes to find out when my hip goes bad and I'm having all this lower back pain and all this stuff, I go back to him and find out that the hip implant broke. And however I made it through that, it's just a miracle. And he says, this is something. And when he went back in, well, at first he didn't know that the hip implant broke. But when he went in, he said something must have went wrong somewhere. It was a faulty implant, and the whole inside of the implant came apart. So there wasn't the sturdy tightness of that implant to not move around. And he immediately saw the problem. He says, this is a first for me. But I did get good direction from him. It was a huge lawsuit, the whole everything. So that was nice to know you had to go through this crap, but you are getting some money for it. But then when you look to see how much you get and how much the attorneys get, you really want to question the fairness of that. And I know I sound like such a greedy baby, but, and then they changed the laws throughout the year. Like if you had your lawsuit in 1 year, you got this amount. But then the next year, they changed the law, you only got this amount. And every time I'd ask a question, I never really got an answer. They said, well, you just have to go by the rules. Just have to go by the rules. And I remember asking them, I said, well, where's the 33% rule? Back in the day, a lawsuit was, if you win, you guys get 33%. Oh, they've changed the rules. That's a lot of rule changing, and I kid you not. It turned out they got approximately 45% of the total case and still never got an answer. Everybody deserves their just pay. I would never want to jip or deny anyone of their duly earned pay. But when it all went up and there was really no reason why or explanation other than costs, and then I was going over all the stuff, I said, yeah, I see the cost, but I also see that your fee went up. So really what you told me is it's gone up because of the cost is only a half truth. And could never get a straight answer. But you have to just let it go. And it's just difficult to accept when you came from an area where it was, for many years, it was always just 33%, because we've had many other lawsuits prior to that one. So between my husband and myself, we knew a little bit. It's just depressing. Anyways, so the doctor was wonderful. That happened in 2015. And to think, had the next year come around, 2016, I could have been close to not even getting any money or the money going way down, because it was like a grandfather effect, depending on how old the implant was. But there should have been not an argument with this, because this was only 6 years old, and the implant broke, and they're supposed to be good for like 20 some years, 12 to 20 some years. Anyways, okay, so that was just nice. And so there I am, May 2015, and I'm still having to go real slow. It was very nice, so I had lost all my weight and then some. So that was nice. But I still could not get back to my life prior, ever, just because of other health issues that came up with through all our family and our family members, and I just took a time out. So May 2015, and then 2 months later, I'm stuck at home, and that's where my channel started. And I started doing a ton of research about hip implants and attorney fees, and so then my pastime was YouTube, because I wasn't creating my own pastime or life, so I was living my life through other people on YouTube. That's how it all started. But for years prior, this is around 2008 or 2010, I've been watching YouTube, but in 2015 is when I noticed that people were having ads on their channel. And I started realizing that they're getting paid. And so I researched it, and that's, you guys know the story. I told my daughters, they need to start a YouTube channel. You guys would be wonderful. You'd have a great channel. And they weren't excited about it. They said, Mom, why don't you do it? You get going with that. Let us know how it goes. And then we'll talk. So I got started in July. And I've been at my channel ever since. They never got excited. Even today, when I tell them about it, they don't seem to be excited. And which I can understand, because my little piddly little pittance of coins that I get from YouTube, in their world is like, Mom, I can't even believe you bother. Because they're professionals. They're way beyond what I'm happy with. But so that's how that happened. I'm just trying to figure out, how was it that I never told that story. I kind of think that 2015, I started thinking at that time frame. I started my channel. I had a real need to really think of fun things and family things. And so I might have had an intentional block on the not so fun things. But I think I feel a need to talk about it now, because it had a wonderful happy ending. I was way more stressed out and sick and upset about that, especially the second when that one broke. I couldn't believe it. I like, what are the odds? How could this be? So I think why I'm talking about it now is it's funny to me, everything I had to go through. And I think now I just need a little humor, or I need to just lighten things up. Because when you don't feel well and you can't function like your normal self, it's stressful. I'm sure we all know. Anyways.